It's the Phoenix, Arizona weather discussion. This is for Thursday, the 13th of March. I'm Michael Groff. The winds are already picking up out there in advance of a cold front that'll move across the area later this afternoon and tonight. In addition to the wind, rain and some isolated thunderstorms arrive in the valley by early to mid-afternoon. Now, the other big news of the day is we have a lunar eclipse tonight. And the question is, will this rain get out of here in time to view that in the Phoenix area? We'll talk about that. Also, we've got another short wave that'll move into the area tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow night, bringing another chance of precipitation. The weekend is looking fairly quiet, but what about the weather for next week? We also have our high-impact severe storm event expected across the Plain States and the Southeast U.S. We've been talking about that for several days. Is that going to be a reality? We'll get to that and everything else as we dive on in. First, the almanac from yesterday, 75 degrees the afternoon high, 57 the morning low, 77 and 54 the averages for this time of year. We picked up 0.07 of an inch of rain officially in the bucket at Sky Harbor early morning yesterday, bringing our monthly total to 0.58 of an inch. Outside now at 11:30 a.m., clouds rolling in, wind increasing, 68 degrees at Sky Harbor, dew points 40, humidity 36%. Check it out. Wind out of the south at 21, gusting to 32 miles an hour. It's already windy out there. Barometer 29.83 inches and falling. Radar at this time at 11:33 a.m. shows that rain is marching into western Arizona on a steady progression eastward. Now, for the most part, this rain at this time is fairly light. We do see some embedded moderate to heavy showers and even some embedded thunder. And the strongest storms may produce some brief small hail and gusty winds in addition to that gradient wind that we're seeing out there right now. All right, here's the satellite out here across the west, and you can see how this system is progressing. And one thing you'll note here, it's in a hurry. This is not like our upper low that came through here the other day that was sluggishly moving on through. So what we're going to see is a fairly short duration rain event. This is around for a good time, not a long time. I mean, it'll take only 2 to 3 hours for that frontal band to move through here. And so to answer the question, yeah, I think we have a pretty good chance at seeing the lunar eclipse tonight with relatively low amounts of cloud cover to obscure it. Yeah, it could be a few clouds, but it looks like pretty good viewing for the lunar eclipse tonight. The watch warning map with that powerful system out here across the west advancing eastward. We have wind advisories posted as far east as Iowa and Illinois. And over much of the Plain States with that low humidity, increasing wind, the dry surfaces, yeah, that's all the ingredients you need for wildfires. And so we have red flag warnings posted from Texas all the way up into South Dakota and points to the west. Some high wind warnings across West Texas and East New Mexico. And speaking of wind, we have plenty of that here in Arizona. Most of the state is under a wind advisory, and that's in effect through 8 p.m. this evening. We could see some wind gusts, perhaps as high as 40 miles per hour in the Phoenix area, maybe locally higher than that, especially in northern Arizona and so out over some of the open desert areas. And whenever we talk about strong winds here in the deserts, what else do we talk about? Blowing dust. And there is that possibility for areas of blowing dust and reduced visibility in our favored dust corridors. I-10 corridor southeast of Phoenix across central Pinal County, a famous dust corridor that it is, and the I-8 and I-10 corridors west out of Phoenix and into Southern California. Some patchy blowing dust is possible out there as well. Convective outlook for today, we've got that marginal risk of severe storms over parts of Alabama, Georgia, North Florida. It's a pretty low-end threat, but I guess we might see some gusty winds and hail with the strongest storms there. In Arizona, we're in the green. Thunderstorms are possible. Again, a pretty conditional threat. And while we don't anticipate any organized severe weather, understand that in the environment we have here, maybe a storm could produce a wind gust that approaches severe limits this afternoon, and we'll talk about that threat in a second. Now, speaking of threats, this is the day 2 outlook. This encompasses tomorrow and runs through 5 a.m. Saturday morning. We've got the moderate risk of severe storms, level 4 out of 5, to include places like St. Louis and Champaign, Illinois. The level 3 out of 5 enhanced risk, well, that includes much of central and northern Mississippi, Tupelo, Jackson, Columbus, over toward Muscle Shoals and Florence and Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and that goes all the way up to places like Des Moines, Iowa. Just southwest of Chicago, And the broader severe weather risk extends from the Gulf Coast all the way up into Minnesota, Wisconsin. And so, this is a significant storm system coming into the Plain States. All modes of severe weather will be possible. It looks like this will generally be a linear type of event, a quasi-linear convective system, but no doubt we will see some discrete cells, some supercells popping up ahead of that as this system develops. And I think that'll be more so the case as we go to the day on Saturday. We have a moderate risk already posted. Again, this is for Saturday running through 5 a.m. Sunday morning. That moderate risk for much of extreme southeast Louisiana around New Orleans up toward Starkville, Mississippi, Tuscaloosa, and Birmingham, Alabama. And again, all modes of severe weather will be possible, but the favored risk here, again, strong damaging straight line winds, large hail, and yes, some long track violent tornadoes cannot be ruled out in a setup like this, particularly if we get some supercells, those discrete cells that develop out ahead of the main line. But I think we're going to have multiple rounds of severe weather. And that is the worst case scenario. Again, the broader severe weather risk does go all the way up to the eastern Great Lakes. So just because you're in that slight risk area doesn't mean you let your guard down. There could be a few tornadoes even there. But the main threat, I think, in that zone would be more from strong damaging straight line winds and hail. All right, closer to home, the precipitation outlook valid through Thursday morning of next week. Rain amounts in Phoenix between 1/4 and 1/2 inch. Heavier totals up north, and of course, up over the higher terrain, that's going to fall in the form of snow. So let's get into the details of this forecast now. To do that, we explore the models, see what the future may hold. Here we go. The GFS, the 12Z run at 5 o'clock this afternoon. There's that powerful upper trough coming through. It's a cold system. It's starting to go negative tilt as it moves on through. So what it means down at the surface for the rest of the afternoon, clouds are rolling in. Wind, we've got plenty of wind out there. It'll be windy this afternoon with south to southwesterly winds increasing to 10 to 25 miles per hour. Could see a few gusts to 40. Maybe some stronger gusts across northern Arizona. There's already also a winter storm warning that's posted for the Flagstaff area and across the Rim Country, as we should see a decent amount of snow up there. And with those strong winds, with snow coming down, could be some whiteout conditions at times. Now, as for the specifics on when this happens, probably by the time you guys are watching this in the next few hours, that rain will be moving in. Let's see. This is our HRRR model at 3 o'clock this afternoon, the simulated radar product. And look at that. I mean, by that time, it's depicting the rain coming into western Maricopa County, knocking on the door of the Phoenix area, really around Buckeye and up toward Surprise and all of that. So right around 3 o'clock, maybe just before 3, we'll start to see the rain coming into the Phoenix metro area. Now, it's not going to hit the East Valley for another hour or so after that, maybe after 4 out there. But so for the mid-afternoon, that's when the rain will be increasing. But as mentioned, this is moving quickly. This is not going to be an extremely long duration event. 2, maybe 3 hours, and then it'll be done. Now, in this, we could see some thunder. Let's talk about the risk of thunderstorms and all of that. The instability with this system is not great. CAPE values, that's convective available potential energy, not very high. In fact, 1 to 300 joules per kilogram here across south central Arizona. Yes, that's enough for a thunderstorm, but not anything widespread, certainly. So it's a conditional threat, but the strongest storm, again, could produce some small hail and gusty winds. And we'll show you kind of why that is in a second. Speaking of wind, let's look at the wind. Now, some of this is just going to be gradient wind, but this is at 4 o'clock as that band of showers and isolated thunder is coming through. And you can see it's depicting wind gusts to around 50 miles an hour. Now, keep in mind, these are 10-meter wind gusts. 10 meters is, more than 30 feet above the surface. So down here, right at the surface, you have to subtract a few miles per hour from that. But again, a thunderstorm, an isolated thunderstorm that may come through could produce a wind gust that's a little higher than that and approaching severe limits thanks to the momentum transfer. So we'll see, but you get the idea. It's just going to be windy this afternoon and turning colder as that cold front sweeps on through. Now, for those that want to know, because we have questions about this stuff, so I'll outline it by showing you a forecast sounding so we can really see the risk of any severe storms or any strong storms. And there's not much here to go with, okay? Again, Cape value is only 1 to 300 joules per kilogram. Mixing ratios are not particularly high. There's not a ton of moisture with this feature. One thing we do have in abundance is shear. I mean, this thing has got some screaming winds with it. This is one of those high shear, low cape kind of setups. And I will tell you that historically speaking, a system that comes through like this, there can be a surprise or two. We could see some thunder. And that's why I just can't completely rule it out. And obviously with such a cold system, that air aloft is quite chilly. So obviously some small hail would be possible with the strongest storms. And you will note here, some of you weather geeks will say, well, look at that. There's the inverted V sounding. We see this in the summer a lot. Now, this is not the summertime inverted V kind of sounding where you got that very dry air at the surface, because we see those dew point depressions, it's 60 degrees in the summer. So, it really puts out some extremely strong winds. But given that this is a fairly dynamic system, we'll already have some strong gradient winds already. So wouldn't take much to produce a wind gust that could approach severe limits. All right, so that's the rest of the afternoon. Obviously, high temperatures are about where they're going to be, upper 60s and low 70s tonight. As all of that goes on through, what about the lunar eclipse? Well, as mentioned, this should move out of here just in time. The lunar eclipse begins about 10 o'clock tonight, and for the most part, the sky should be clear, or at least mostly clear, across southern Arizona. So pretty good viewing for us, well, at least south central Arizona. Maybe further to the east, still some showers ongoing, but yeah, it looks good for us. Totality begins at 11:25 p.m. and peaks at 11:58, and then totality ends at 12:31. So you got about an hour and 5 minutes of viewing time there. That's good. Should be decent weather, albeit it'll be chilly out there for the lunar eclipse. Lows tonight, by the way, will get down in the upper 30s in the cold spots, 40s for the rest of us. Now tomorrow, we got another short wave that's going to follow on the heels of this system. And so as a result, most of the day is partly sunny, but we will see some showers developing in the afternoon. Not widespread, but scattered showers tomorrow and tomorrow night here in Phoenix. Highs tomorrow, it's going to be a chilly day, and it's going to be breezy. It'll be kind of raw out there. This is not only the coolest day that we'll experience in this forecast period, but this is likely the coldest day we'll have until maybe November, with highs only in the mid to upper 50s. Now, looking at the broader view, as that low moves out into the plain states, we've talked about this for a while. The severe weather threat is there. You can see a 974 millibar surface low that's just west of Omaha. And this system is all wrapped up. We've got some screaming winds aloft with this, and good diffluent flow really from Arkansas northward into Iowa and Illinois. But really, there could even be some strong storms all the way up into Minnesota and Wisconsin as that low continues to lift to the northeast. So be aware of that. On the backside of it, we're going to see some snow, some blowing snow, and again, very strong winds everywhere across the plain states and into the southeast with this. Now, it does look like this is going to be more of a linear severe weather event, meaning a big line of strong and severe storms. And generally, when we see that, the risk of long-track tornadoes is a little bit lower. But I'm going to tell you, with the very strong winds we have aloft and the good shear dynamics and all of that, boy, oh boy, we could see a few violent tornadoes. And again, we could also see some discrete cells that pop up out ahead of this. Probably not many. This is not going to be, one of those generational type severe weather outbreaks, but make no mistake that the chance of tornadoes is there. Now, I think the real risk from this is strong, damaging straight line winds. We're going to see a lot of that over a good chunk of real estate and large hail as well. But again, a few violent tornadoes just can't be ruled out, unfortunately. Now, let's go to Saturday. This is Saturday morning, 5 a.m. our time, 8 a.m. Eastern. And again, that little short wave is moving out a little slower, so we still have a chance at showers early in the morning. If you're like me, you're up early on Saturday morning, you could hear some raindrops out there. And it's going to be chilly again. High temperatures for us on Saturday will get back into the low to mid 60s. Now, as that low continues to lift off to the north and east, It's going to drag a front east, but here's the thing. We do see another surface low developing over the southeast U.S. during the day on Saturday, and that's bad news because that will create more veering of the wind with altitude, and the stage is set for another round of strong and severe storms over the southeast U.S. And again, a linear event is favored here, but out ahead of it, some discrete cells are possible. I know there's some thought that maybe that overnight event kind of helps to stabilize the atmosphere, but I think with the strong winds coming off the Gulf of Mexico here, and with the anomalous Gulf sea surface temperatures there, yeah, pretty good moisture advection, and yeah, I really do think that we have a good chance at some discrete cells and some possibility for severe weather throughout the day on Saturday. Now, not everywhere. These are going to be scattered thunderstorms, but then that main line of storms will come through on Saturday mid-afternoon through early morning on Sunday. And let me just highlight this. So you saw the forecast sounding I showed you a minute ago from here in Phoenix. You want to see what a severe weather sounding or a tornado sounding looks like? I'll show you that here in just a second. Let me just show you. These are the winds, the vorticity. Again, I mean, that's just screaming. So the dynamics there, the difluent flow, and very, very strong winds aloft and positive vorticity there. So again, this is a terrible setup for severe weather. If you're a storm chaser, it's great, but I know there's people that have a lot of anxiety about these kinds of events. And look, it's severe weather season. You know, March, we see these kinds of systems. This is nothing record-breaking. This is not going to be historic, but it is going to be a classic severe weather setup. Speaking of, this is a forecast sounding coming from Tupelo, Mississippi, Saturday afternoon about 5 o'clock local time. And you want to talk about the ideal setup for severe weather and tornadoes? There it is. First of all, Cape values well over 2,000 joules per kilogram. That's pretty high for this time of year. Moisture is there. Mixing ratio is good. Lapse rates are pretty steep. Look at that. Look at those Corfiti downshear values. They're up at 130 knots. I mean, my goodness. And shear, there's a lot of shear. Now, the question I've heard asked is, could there actually be too much shear? Could this be less of a tornado threat because of that? I don't think so. I don't think the shear is going to be too much to rip supercells apart. But nevertheless, look at it. The energy helicity index is, that's about as high as you're going to see it, up around 10 units. The STP values are up around 8 to 10 units. And obviously, you see the possible hazard type on the right there is PDS tornado, particularly dangerous situation is what PDS stands for. And the photograph there, I mean, all of this is all screaming, saying, look, this is a, what you would call loaded gun sounding if you've ever seen it. All right. Now, that's going to transition eastward, and there's going to be a chance at some strong storms for the East Coast on Sunday. Again, more of a linear event now. This will not be so much a supercell event as it is a linear type event, but that could still produce some severe weather from Florida all the way up to New York City. And on the backside of that system, cold, some snow. For us, though, hey, it's quiet. Sunday is looking like a beautiful day, mostly sunny, high temperatures getting into the low 70s or so. Let's go to Monday. We're quiet, partly cloudy. High temperatures should top out somewhere in the mid 70s, maybe close to 80. Now, there is another trough that's going to come on through, and the majority of model guidance says this will be a shallower system. It might produce a couple of showers around on Tuesday, but for the most part, most of the precipitation will be concentrated north and east of us. I say most of our guidance. There's a minority of ensemble guidance here that suggests this could be a deeper trough and produce better chances of rain in here on Tuesday, but I'm just not going to buy into that right now. It's only maybe 20-25% of our model guidance that even suggests that, so we're not going to worry about that right now. All right, high temperatures should drop back into the upper 60s and low 70s, though, as that trough comes through on Tuesday with some breezy conditions, but it moves out quickly. High pressure should build back in, and so temperatures will warm up once again on Wednesday. Here's a week from today. This is Thursday, the 20th. Another trough for the eastern half of the country. That's not going to be so much a severe weather look, just another round of cooler temperatures. Some snow for the Great Lakes and into the Northeast. But for us, yeah, we're quiet. Zonal flow. 10 days out, this is Saturday the 22nd, and we got another trough that's going to mostly pass to the north of us. Again, there might be a shower or two across central to northern Arizona with a system like that. But right now, as it looks today, and of course this can change because we're way out here trudging into fantasy land at 10 days out, but as it looks right now, that should just bring some cooler temperatures for us. Rainfall for Phoenix out through the 27th of the month off the GFS ensemble. The mean, about 1/3 of an inch. European ensemble about 6/10 of an inch. The European's a little bit more bullish on this system coming in today. Not sure if we're going to see 6/10 of an inch. Although I will tell you, of course, an isolated spot absolutely could, but it is probably not going to be that robust for us. All right. Looking at temperatures off the national blended models, tomorrow's the coolest day. We don't even get to 60 according to this, but then we warm it up rather nicely. And of course, we're getting into mid and late March now, so high temperatures getting up into the 80s, not that uncommon this time of year. And checking that cross-sectional again, the mean for this event today, and including the wave that comes through tomorrow as well, is under 1/2 an inch. But hey, we'll take 1/3 or 1/2 an inch of rain. Again, the dry season, the 3 driest months of the year in Phoenix are April, May, and June. So we've got to take it while we can get it. And that's going to do it for the Phoenix, Arizona weather discussion for today. My next video is due back here tomorrow morning. Should you happen to enjoy these videos, then be sure to subscribe, like, share, click that notification bell. Leave those comments, questions, and suggestions. If you really like what we do here, then click that thanks icon below the video here on YouTube. Make those monetary contributions to us. Or you can donate directly via PayPal. groffshow@gmail.com is that PayPal address. It's groffshow@gmail.com for PayPal. Please help support this channel and keep us going. We really do ask for your support. If you like what you see here, that would be great. All right, the executive producer of the Phoenix, Arizona weather discussion, my one and only, the sweetest of all time, the Asian sensation and proprietor of this right here, sweetchildaz.com.org, and there's also a Facebook page of the same name called Sweet Child Arizona. I'm talking about my Michelle. Check her out. Check out our blogs, videos, everything Michelle, and tangentially Adriana related. It's all linked up down in the description. So do give that a look. All right. Our streaming station is available too, 24/7, 365, except I think we're having maintenance done over there. So we'll have to see if we're back up yet. But that's KMGX. We play a ton of music, have a lot of fun with that. It's linked up in the description. All right, thank you guys so much for watching. All of your continued support, so greatly appreciated. Please be safe out there. And you guys have yourselves a beautiful rest of your Thursday.